The night so peaceful, yet with the entrance of one man, the peace turned into dread. Dark eyes, sharp features, and destructive aura. Jungkook was returning home after a few days. The moon hung low in the sky as Jungkook's sleek, black car glided to a stop in front of his imposing mansion. Jungkook, clad in a tailored suit that exuded power, stepped out, his sharp gaze scanning the surroundings. The world outside might dread him, but within the walls of his fortress, he was a vigilant guardian. He ascended the grand staircase. The echo of his footsteps resonated through the marble floor. The guards had lined up to welcome and pay their respect to him as he returned after 3 days' mission. The familiar scent of luxury and danger enveloped him as he entered the expensive mansion. The home provided him with peace, a place which his wife, Vian, turned into heaven for him. How she fixed and brought beauty and peace to it was reflected everywhere. He missed her and wished to see her before anyone else. Yet something felt amiss. The absence of his wife's presence gnawed at him. She knew he was returning. He expected a lady running up to him and jumping in his arms, like it happened always. Forget about the moment. He didn't hear a single sound that could confirm her presence. Jungkook's jaw tightened as he prowled through the mansion, his eyes darting from room to room. He felt it deep down his bones. Something was wrong, and his instinct was always right. He checked the places she usually frequented, like the library, the garden, their bedroom. The ominous quiet weighed heavily on him. It hit him. The nail polish bottle on the floor opened, the liquid spilled, and his wife missing. Finally, he approached the vigilant guards stationed at the entrance. Jungkook, where is she? The guards exchanged uneasy glances, and one spoke cautiously. Guard, I'll look for her. She took a walk in the evening and went inside afterwards. She didn't come out of her room after that. A surge of possessiveness tightened Jungkook's grip on the railing. Jungkook, find her. Now. The guards dispersed, leaving Jungkook alone with the unsettling feeling. He dialed Vine's number, the seconds ticking away like an eternity. She didn't answer, and that only added to his rage. What was the security for? In a mansion guarded by technical security, along with a sum of men stationed at every point. How can she even disappear? A few minutes passed by, and Jungkook's heart pounded with a mix of worry and dread. As the realization hit him, his enemy had dared to target the one person he cherished above all else. She was abducted, right under his nose. The information had surfaced through his intricate network of connections, a web spun in the shadows of the criminal underworld. His usually composed exterior cracked, revealing the storm of emotions within. He slammed his hand against the table in his study, the impact echoing through the room. Jungkook, find her, Minho. Find her now. His right hand man, Minho, stepped forward, a stoic expression masking the concern in his eyes. Minho, we're working on it, boss. We've got our best people on the job. Jungkook, find her before I tear this city apart. The room buzzed with tension as the team mobilized. Phone calls were made, favors called in. Everyone rushed around. They knew every second mattered, and every passing moment, their boss was a ticking bomb, ready to explode. He meant it when he said tearing the city apart, and his men knew it so well. None of them was safe anymore, not until his wife was back in his arms. An hour later, Minho approached him with an update. Minho, we have traced the location. It's an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts. Looks like they knew we were coming. They have increased their security and defenses. Jungkook marched out of the room straight out to his car, a gun laying in his hand, ready to explode. A row of blacked out vehicles glided through the city's shadow streets, heading towards the warehouse that held his wife captive, the speed insane as he drifted through the busy roads and pedestrians. As they approached, Jungkook's mind raced with thoughts of wine. He couldn't fathom the audacity of his enemy, the one who dared to challenge the very core of his existence. They made a big, big mistake, and Jungkook was never a forgiving personality. The warehouse loomed ahead, a dark fortress concealing the one person Jungkook would go to any lengths to protect. As they got down the cars, the bloody dance began. Inside, Wine was sitting on a rotten couch, trying to free her wrist from the grip of a man who held it tightly. A few pieces of paper placed before her, a wedding contract. She was getting forced to sign them. The man named John, who claimed himself to be the biggest rival of her husband, wanted to marry her, to be able to take revenge on her husband. He eyed her wrongly and shoved the pen in her hand forcefully. Wine, let me go. You can't force me in a wedding. I am a married woman. She winced, trying to set free. John only tightened his grip and proceeded to slap her, but his hand stopped midway. The air around them shifted. It was dead silent, except the two of them arguing over a contract. The men around tensed up too. There was no sound, no intrusion, absolutely nothing. Yet their breaths were caught in their throat. The aura shifted. It was deadly and destructive, sending creeps down their spine. Vine smiled. All of them were drowned in fear, but she smiled. He was here. Her Jungkook was here, even if she couldn't see him. A gunshot erupted the sky, everyone getting alert, rushing off their seats. Soon enough, a number of men barged in, taking over John's security. The place turned into a pool of blood and dead bodies. Vine's eyes only searched for one person, desperately roaming around to find a sight of him. The bullets fired around her. Every sound pierced through her heart. Every body falling lifeless on ground drove her insane. But all she wanted was the sight of her protector. Silence fell over. John's men were dead. John was captured, beaten up. Vine stayed there, heart pounding against her chest, and the sound of footsteps resonated through the warehouse. Jungkook entered, untouched, dressed to his best, like he was walking on a red carpet. Not a single hair out of place. He walked like he owned the shadows, and dark aura only intensified, numbing everyone to their bones. Vine's eyes glistened in relief as he walked up to her straight. Then, there, he got down on one knee before her. He might be the king, but she was his queen. He had gladly kneeled before. Jungkook, Vine whispered, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and relief. Jungkook, I've got you, he assured. His eyes took in her body to find the marks against her wrist, neck, and her hair out of the place. It was obvious they were pulled harshly. Vine got in his arms, finding the warmth and protection she missed. He wrapped his one arm around her body, eyes devoid of emotions except for rage, as they fell on papers on the table, the exact marriage contract. He stayed there till she wanted. Once she pulled away, he fixed her hair and kissed her wrist. Jungkook, let's go back. She nodded, and Jungkook lifted Vine into his arms, cradling her against his chest. He never once looked at John. He knew if he did, he was going to lose his control, and he couldn't afford that. Not when she needed him, and absolutely not in front of her. She didn't deserve to see the monstrous sight of him. It was so cruel, even he believed it. Vine clung to him. Her fear still got the best of her. The adrenaline from the danger she had faced still pulsed through her veins, and her body trembled against him. Jungkook, you're safe now, he murmured, his voice a low rumble that reverberated through her. Jungkook, no one will harm you. The room, bathed in soft glow, welcomed them with a sense of familiarity. Jungkook gently laid her on the bed, his eyes never leaving hers. Jungkook, let me take care of you now. His fingers brushed against her cheek. He kissed her forehead and got on bed beside her. As he undressed her, each touch was deliberate, a gesture of both possession and tenderness. Vine felt the weight of his gaze, a silent promise that she was under his protection. Jungkook, I'm never leaving you alone again. This won't ever repeat. He took in her arms. Vine snuggled in. He was warm, and she loved how good he felt against her. As Vine closed her eyes, it didn't take her long before she drifted off to her dreamland in her husband's protective embrace. Jungkook met John soon. The man faced a level of cruelty no human in existence could ever imagine. It was dreadful, torturous, and gruesome. He then faced his scars as well, firing a lot of them and punishing the others. He tightened the security around her, and finally peace enveloped him after he was done with his duties.